Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So I see all your supplies in the back for your new grand opening of your new store. Which, please, would you go ahead and get online so I can shop there too?
I know we're really trying to get our website and stuff situated.
Then you just need a few influencers to talk about it.
I know. And we have several that live in our neighborhood. So I'm hoping that they'll pop in and share it. But we were busy this weekend. It was busy, really, really good. So
was it mostly home goods you're going to sell or
yeah.
what?
Yeah. Mostly home accessories, artwork. We sourced a great glassware line from Italy that are really reasonably priced and they're beautiful. And then we will offer local in Charleston interior design services. And then a lot of just like good, nice, unique gifts. We've been trying to find stuff that nowhere else has or like that's hard to find. But people have been loving it so far. So it's been really good.
So fun. And you just like me, we need one more thing to do, right?
One more thing. I know. People were like, is this your 7th job? I'm like, I think it's, yes, I think so.
Well, good news is you got some great help. You got Caitlin.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll fill in the gaps.
Yes, totally. How was you were in Ohio? Were you in Ohio last week?
No. Where
or
was
week
I?
4?
What week is this? I don't even know.
Let's see.
I was in Montana over the weekend. We looked at a property in Montana. That was fun. Whitefish is a cool city.
Yeah.
It's just quaint, hallmarky type town. It's beautiful. It's not super high altitude, so I don't get a nosebleed.
I'm dying to check it out because I can't do Colorado because of that altitude stuff.
You would love it. You'd love it. And the food's great. Almost every restaurant had gluten-free menus. It's cool. It's awesome.
Did you guys watch Yellowstone?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was watching the new episode or the new season. Adam and I watched the first and second one, and he was talking about like preserving all of it. You know how it's obviously fake in their show, but it made me think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yep. It's making Montana real hot. Let's just put it that way. Which is what Dallas did years ago too, when they had the show Dallas. Made Dallas.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So we're back for part 2 of John Maxwell, where we're going to talk about the next half of his life. He said he had certainties that he thought he had certainties in the first half of his life, but these are real certainties that he's had the second half of his life.
Yeah, and they're getting a sneak peek because this is actually his next book coming out, and it's called Second Half Certainty. And do you remember? I think he said first part of next year.
Yeah, I think so.
2023, I think. I didn't write down when he said it was coming out. And it must not be ready, or I think we would have gotten a copy and we didn't get one. So it's probably going to be.
Well, what I love about it is how you receive a return on your failures.
Yeah.
Is the certainties that you have from it. So really, instead of looking at your failures as failures, you think, okay, now I have some certainties that I didn't have before. I thought that was kind of cool way to look at it.
Yeah. And I like he said, the older that you get, the more things become uncertain. And so really having the core things that are these certainties, he said he's more certain that when they're tested, you can look at it with integrity and know and say, okay, like these actually are certainties because so many things seem uncertain in our world.
Yeah. And I love certainties. He says, life is like a good book. The further you get into it, the more you understand it.
Yeah.
If I look back, so much more makes sense.
Yeah. He said you can connect the dots when you look back. Yeah. It was so good. Perfect. Okay. You want to kick us off with number 1?
Yeah. So number 1 is attitude is the difference maker. And he said, attitude cannot overcome incompetence.
Yep.
Clement Stone said there is a little self in people, but it's the little differences that makes a big difference. And the difference is the attitude.
Yeah. I love that. I had that too. I like how he said the person with the best attitude about life will turn out the best. And he said attitude is not everything, but it is the difference maker. And I was trying to find the example. He said all things being equal, you would choose attitude if you were interviewing different people. And he said that's why he's always said, say yes, tell the world, and then figure it out, because he just has a positive life stance. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah. And I think too, from teaching Fierce, I remember that, they talked about the story about you. We always know people who have lots of tools in their tool belts, but they don't use it. And then you have some people who weren't born with very many tools at all, and they make great things happen from it. And I think that has to do with your perspective or your attitudes about life. I think if you see the glass half empty, it's going to be half empty.
Yeah.
If your attitude is there's abundance, there's plenty for everybody, it's all going to work out. And I love Marie Forleo's saying everything's figure outable.
Yeah, such a good book. I just remembered the example he said about, or the story he told us about attitude being the difference maker. I don't know if you remember, he said he was a basketball player and he said he wasn't very good. And he said when he was, do you remember that? And he said when he was a freshman, he was really probably like, mediocre on the team. And he said they were all going to try out for their sophomore year. And he said that the coach looked at him and said, John, you're going to be the captain. And John said he was like shocked and was looking around, looking at all the juniors and seniors thinking, well, for one, I'm not even a good basketball player. And for two, I'm only a sophomore. And he said, why me? And he said, because you have the best attitude of any player on the team. And I thought that's just cool. That's a good story.
Yeah, that is a good story. I love that he said, if you're positive, life's good. And the good will get better. And if you're negative, the bad will get worse. The bad will get worse.
Yes. I wrote that down too. Yep. Yeah. He said, life is filled with good and bad, and you can't control either sometimes, but you'll either find the good or you'll find the bad. Yeah. I love that. That was so good. Yes. And you can tell, gosh, can't you tell a difference when you're around people who have a good attitude versus a bad attitude?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't stay around the people with bad attitude very long. I'm like, I gotta go.
No, I know it's a trigger for me for sure. Okay, so that was his first one. His number 2 certainty that he's figured out at 75 years old is not one that will shock most people, because this is John to a T. Adding value to people will add more value back to you. He said it has a boomerang effect.
I love that. I agree with that. That's so true.
Yeah.
I think the unexpected gift is the value you get back. You don't expect that. You get way more back than you give, I think.
Yeah, he said you have to add it to them first, put others first, and focus on the sowing side of things, not the reaping side of things. The more you do, the more you'll develop a heart for it. And he said, if it's hard for you to serve others, then you aren't a servant's leader. And I was like, man, that's good.
He also said, and I think you said this, but as I served others, I got a heart for serving others.
Yeah.
If someone isn't used to serving others, maybe they could just try serving others, and you eventually get the heart for it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting too. I mean, well, it's not interesting because I see this and believe it, but he said he never really tried to make money or start a business. It really wasn't even on his list, but it all showed up because he said he just was giving value in everything that he did. He said, give more than you receive. And what will happen is you'll receive more than you ever can give.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
He says the only reasons I have a company is to have support in what I was trying to do. Do you understand that one?
I think he said because that's where he was saying he was never trying to build like this big business or anything. He was just trying to add value. And then he got to the point where he had to have support to keep adding value like he wanted to. So he had to hire people. And then before he knew it, it became this big company.
Yeah, I love it. That's like in trying to remember what class we see it in, and I just said this in business planning. People try to do it backwards. They try to work a business plan instead of saying, what kind of life do I want to have? Which in John's case was adding value to others.
Yeah.
Then let your business be determined how big it has to be because of what your value you're trying to add. And then what does your team need to look like to support that kind of service?
Yeah, I taught business planning clinic 4 times last week, and the first whole half of the day we talked about their life and their plan and their big why and all that stuff before we ever got into the 4 models or anything. We didn't even do those until after lunch, because I kept saying to them, if you don't know like where you're going or why you want to go there, or your personal life and your spiritual life and your physical life and all that stuff isn't good, then your business life isn't going to be good either.
Yeah, so true. He said reaping is automatic, serving is what's important. So I think if you just get up every day and focus on the serving, the reaping shows up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote down. He said the success of my day is based on the seeds I sow, not the harvest I reap. If you keep sowing, it comes with compounding, and it'll just compound over and over and over again.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yep. Adding value to people will add more value back to you.
Yep. So number 3 was personal growth is the only guarantee tomorrow will get better. I love that.
Me too. That was one of my favorite ones. Yeah, I'm trying to look through.
It says age is inevitable, but growth is optional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personal growth is a silent investment in myself.
Yes, I wrote that down. That's what I was just going to say. He said that eventually shows up. Yeah, I love that. He said, what did I write? Fill the well up all the way. If you're going to go out, never let the, well.
Yeah,
Yes.
well.
Fill the well up all the way. If you're going to go out, never let the well get dry. Keep the water in the well and keep it full. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things we had them do on business planning was to look at what ceilings they keep hitting.
Oh,
and whatever they needed to focus on next year, that became their growth plan for the next year, their learning plan.
I love that.
What do we need to be learning? Because obviously it's something around what's causing us to hit the ceiling.
Yeah, that was so good. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but remember he always talks about the 5 things
Yes,
that
I
he
love
does
this.
to fill up his well each day. Yeah, he reads, thinks, files, asks questions, and writes every single day.
Yeah. I even got myself this hat that says thinking cap to remind myself to sit and think, but it's so
I love that.
I call that my John Maxwell hat.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah, because he said, I wrote down, it's just a daily discipline. You can't go long times without filling the well. And he said, ask yourself, did I deposit something into my mind today? And then he said, make sure it's the right water. And this part really resonated with me. Don't do it in a lot of areas. If it's not in your realm, don't do it. Deposit what you do. He said examples his are communication, faith, leadership, attitude, etc. Do what's in your calling in your strength zone instead of focusing on like the things that you're not good at.
Yeah, love that. I wrote this down in this section, so I don't know if it came from here or not, but it says life will give you conflicts.
Yeah.
Only the right ones, the right ones will lead you to your purpose.
Yeah.
So to think about your conflicts are actually leading you to your purpose was kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, and I wrote that down too. And he must have been talking about something because I also wrote down a full well that hasn't been prioritized actually won't ever serve you. And then what you deposit today will serve you tomorrow and you will deliver tomorrow. Because I remember him saying you can pour all this stuff into you. And I thought this is such a good example. So for example, right now, we were at John Maxwell and I have this whole book full of notes. Then the next week I went to the I Love Coaching Summit and I had this entire book of amazing speakers, like 11 of them that I got the best stuff from ever. Then last week I had business planning clinics, but I got ideas from all the other people that were there. But I haven't had time yet, which is on my goal this week while I take a little break for Thanksgiving, to organize so I've poured all this stuff into my well over the last 3 weeks, but I need to organize it so that I can prioritize you know what I mean? And I like that he said that of just even if your well's filled up, if it hasn't been prioritized, it's not going to serve you.
It's just going to be an overflowing well.
Yeah. Exactly. And then he said layered learning. Did you get anything about that? He said, all I wrote down was you hear and learn and keep stacking and stacking and stacking. And I don't know. It says new thought versus a great thought. He just said, you want to strive for layered learning, keep stacking and stacking.
I didn't even write that one down.
Yeah, I didn't get very much on that, but I did have that one.
He did say what I deposit today, I can deliver on tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. Yep. So personal growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will get better. And then number 4 was everyone needs forgiveness. So forgive everyone. So John's pretty certain at 75 that you should forgive everyone because everyone needs forgiveness. I took a lot on this one.
Yeah. The first thing I wrote down is called high road living.
Yeah.
When you're on the high road, which I know we say this to our people all the time, don't get down in the mud, stay at 30,000 feet,
Yeah, I wrote that down too. And then I said, he said the high road is also a toll road. It costs a little more, but it's totally worth it. And then he said, travel light, don't carry baggage. While you're at home with the baggage, they're out dancing. So don't carry the baggage.
That's like I remember a thing in Fierce where it says, when you carry resentment, it's like you eating rat poisoning and waiting for the rat to die.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That was a good one. I had kind of short notes on that one.
Oh, I had a good story on that one though. I thought this was such a good story. Remember when he said that there was a man in Spain who had been estranged from his son, and he put the ad in the newspaper that said, "Meet me at the center of the town square the next day." It said, "Paco, meet me at the center of the town square the next day. Love, Dad." Like, we need to forgive each other or something like that. I don't remember. And then he said the next day 800 Paco showed up. but because the purpose was like, there's that many people that, haven't forgiven or have gone all these years with no communication. But he said, two great characteristics of people of faith are giving and forgiving. And you can't just have one or the other. And I did like how he said, forgiving is not forgetting. Like, you cannot. It reminds me of Heather, Heather, my friend Heather that works with me. She's so funny, but she's always right. But she always says when something happens, she's like, I forgive them, but I just know where to put them now. And she always says that.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the saying, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Believe them.
Right. Just let it be a red flag. Don't harbor it, because I think forgiving is more for yourself than it is for the other person, really, to let go of.
Yeah.
Travel ladder.
Yeah, I did write down, I liked this too. He said, all of us want to be valued and remembered for our best days, not our bad days, yet we've had hundreds of times that we've needed to be forgiven. And so he said, just remember that, because we're all one step away from stupid.
That's so true.
Depending on the day. Yeah, but that was a really good one.
Yep. You ready for number 5?
Yep.
So number 5 is everything rises and falls on leadership. And I love that he said people deserve to be led well. That puts a higher sense of responsibility on you if you're deciding to be a leader. Yeah.
I really didn't have a lot of notes on this one because I just think that the title just sums it up. I mean, everything really does rise and fall on leadership. And I always tell our people on our leadership teams that we need to always point thumbs, not fingers, when something happens first, because it does rise and fall on leadership. And when there's an issue, we're quick to be like, well, that agent or that client or, whatever, instead of like saying, okay, well, we're the leader, so what could we have done better so that didn't happen? And I think when you think about, I don't know, I can think of great leaders and not great leaders that I've worked for. And so I think it really does. I mean, it rises and falls on leadership.
Yeah. And I think to think that you're going to be a perfect leader and not make mistakes. I mean, I have enough older friends that are still screwing up as leaders. And so it's a little disheartening, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, wait, what? It's not going to get better.
Because I'm hoping by the time, I get to be their age, I have a whole lot less. And they do have a lot less of it, but they still do have mess ups. Right. And so I think somewhere in your mind, you think you're gonna get to a place and you're not going to screw up as a leader. And I don't think that's ever going to be the case.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's why we go back to number 4 being important. Everyone needs forgiveness. So forgive everyone.
Start with me.
Yeah, same. Me too.
Number 6 was intentional living, maximize your life. Is that what you had?
Yes. And I love this because I have really been intentional about being intentional the last 2 years. And he said it enables us to move from good intentions to good actions. And he said, really, the best way to improve your life is to just improve your intentionality. I liked how he said there's a huge gap between words and actions, and we need to work towards filling that and making it smaller.
Yeah. He said intentional living, maximize your life, deliberate, willful, don't wait for life to come to you.
Yeah. Oh, he said it teaches us the value of front end thinking. And he said back end thinking is worthless. When you're going to really be intentional, you have to think and plan on the front end.
It says it moves us from desire to, I didn't write down what that was. Did you get what that was? It moves us from desire to, or from dreaming to desires. I don't know.
I missed that part. I didn't get that part, but I did hear him just talk about to fill in the blank, like when you want to be intentional or when you want to live intentional, to ask yourself the question, how can I maximize this blank? So like whatever it is that you're trying to do, figure out and asking yourself the question, just how can you maximize it? And then get into action with being intentional on the front end of thinking it. And that
So,
kind of the unforgettable moments, like how to make things
or you could
unforgettable.
say, how do I maximize my relationship or
Yes.
my marriage or my business or whatever, fill in the blank. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. Yep. So that was a good one. Intentional living maximizes life. Then number 7 was 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. So John's certain that doing something alone is not going to lead you to greatness. He said the greater the challenge, the greater the team needed.
Greatness can't be done without a team.
Yeah. Yes, I had success and significance is achieved through a great team or through a team of great people. That's the greatest joy. And I was trying to remember, oh shoot, I don't have it written down right here, but he said it somewhere else. Where do you remember when he said something about as a leader, your biggest nightmare is having a huge vision and not a good team or not a bought in team or something.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that written right here, but I remember him saying that. And then he talked about the tipping point here. 10% is all you need to enact change. If you can just go get like 10% of your people to buy in. If you have a vision to do something, don't wait, take action now, and then figure out that 10% tipping point.
Yeah. And that came from Malcolm Gladwell's book. And yeah, he said, if you have a vision and mission, don't wait for the ideal, move where you can move. I loved that.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Keep wanting to wait instead of just move.
Yes. Yeah.
Timing will open the door. I have watched what God has done for us. So you got to kind of have faith in it and know that the timing will open the door whenever the timing opens the door.
Yep. And I wrote down something too. He said, which we know this, but he said team stands for together, everyone accomplishes more. But he said influence doesn't go up. It starts with the leaders and goes down. And so I think what he was saying was when you have a team, like it starts with the leaders to actually know that they can't do it on their own. They're going to have to go get more people. Because he was talking about when they had only trained 10,000 Maxwell leadership coaches, but their vision was the 1 million leader mandate. And he said that he had to get the team bought in because he knew that 1 or 2 of them could never go achieve the greatness of the 1 million leader mandate, that they were going to be too small of a number. They had to go get everybody else to buy in.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good one too. Yep. I want to do number 8.
Yep.
Let's see, where's my number 8? Okay, your perspective becomes your world, he said. He is certain about that. How we view things is how we do things. Kind of went with intentional thinking.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, perspective is more powerful than anything else, because when I see people that see things a certain way and they're unwilling to challenge that perspective, they can't seem to move forward. Whereas if someone's willing to change their perspective about something, it's full of possibility. But a lot of times a person's perspective is got them so boxed in that they can't see any possibilities.
Yep, totally. Yeah. Yes, I remember him saying that because I wrote down your world is shaped by how you see it, not by what it is. Your perspective can put you at a disadvantage or an advantage because what you see is what you get. And then I wrote down these couple little things. He said the perspective that you choose is the world that you get. And so he said, like, he gave the examples of choose others over yourself, choose abundance over scarcity, choose faith over fear, choose big picture over small picture, and choose gratitude over complaining.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah, that was really good. And then he also asked the question, what's your perspective about life at this moment? Because over the last couple of years, some of our perspectives have changed. And he said, like, whatever our perspective is, that's what our world is right now.
So true. Love that.
For some reason, during this part is when I wrote down the word unforgettable. To be unforgettable, you have to be intentional and your perspective has to be right.
Well, I think if your perspective is others over yourselves, you're always looking for those ways to be intentional with people.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, absolutely.
unforgettable with people.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't think we were going to get through 13, but I think we could. I think we could finish them up.
All right, let's do it. What number are we on? 9?
Number 9. Yep. Number 9 of his certainties for a second half of his life is consistency compounds. And he said consistency is the most underused word in the dictionary.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Go
think
ahead.
Consistency would beat out talent. If I could choose one, like talent, gifts, or consistency. Well, and I say that because 9 times out of 10, anything I've ever accomplished, I did it through pure tenacity and consistency.
Yeah.
Not because it was easy, not because I knew how, not because it was my gift zone, but because I wouldn't quit. Stay consistent.
Yeah, and he said that consistency is done best when you do it in the area of your strength zone, because then you can stay consistent with it because it's a strength and you aren't burning out as quickly.
Yeah, he says stay consistency, just staying in the game. The longer you stay consistent and just staying in the game. John, for 50 years on leadership, has written more material on it. Consistency is in your strength zone, and his is leadership. That's why he keeps staying. Consistency establishes your reputation.
Yeah.
Because
he said anyone can be good once in a while.
Yeah. And consistency is a prerequisite to excellence.
Yep, I had that. And then I had 2 more. He said consistency provides security for people, meaning they're dependable, and consistency reinforces your vision and values because success is usually stored up before it shows up. And I loved that. I thought that was so good. He said you can't sell something you've done for 2 years. It has to compound.
Yeah. People get good 2 or 3 times and stop, he says.
Oh, yes. I remember him saying that. And that's so true. That's like, Linda, what you say about the, oh gosh, what do you say about the yard line?
Oh, I can't quit. I can't quit because I don't know if I'm on the 5-yard line or the 50-yard line.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And that reminds me of that because I think they give up too fast while they're still compounding.
Yeah. Without knowing whether they're on the 5 or the 50.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. Anything else on that one?
This is weird. I wrote, the moment you stop being consistent on excellence, they ask what you don't want them to ask. Should I go back to exchange? I didn't understand how that. Consistency enforces our values. Success is usually stored up before it shows up. You said that one.
Yeah, we had that. Yep. Yeah. I know we write so fast during this. It's like trying to make sense of it all afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, this is where I wrote for some reason, keep success and failure together. Failure teaches me humility. Keep failure and success together.
That's number 10.
Oh, it is? Okay. I was
Yeah.
like, why is that part of that? Okay.
Yeah. Number 10 is keep success and failure
I
together.
just ran out of room on the other page and had to come back over here and write.
Yep. Keep it together. Always be able to keep them together because failure leads to your success. You do them both so often, you don't know anyone who will say that they have only succeeded and never failed. Yeah, he said failure teaches you humility, and humility teaches you so much, and it keeps you humble, even in momentum. It teaches you how to be resilient.
And I wrote, failure is also makes being honest about your failures makes followers insecure if you're not talking about your failures. Your followers are insecure when they think leaders don't know and don't have failures.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. And I thought this was good. He said, because it also keeps you in the game when you have an itch to ditch the weak. So he was saying, like, sometimes we fail and then we're like, oh, we're over it. But he said, just embrace it because your people around you need to hear you say that you were wrong because they already knew it. So he said, like, half the time, as leaders, when we don't say we're wrong, they're talking about how we're wrong behind your back. Oh, that's where you said, makes followers insecure.
Yeah.
And then he said, when you keep both success and failure together, neither ever get too bad. You keep them evened out.
Yeah. Successes aren't too great and your failures aren't too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really good. Really good.
Success is having those who know you the best, love and respect you the most.
Yep. That's number 11.
Okay. That's the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on keeping your success and failures together?
Nope. I didn't have anything else on that. Yeah. I just went right into 11, which was, success is having those who know you best, love and respect you the most.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's John. I mean, John always said that's been his mission in life. And he said, what you see in John is who you get in John. If people don't know you, if the people who don't know you love and respect you better than the people who know you best, he said, you've got a problem.
Yeah. And, I've even heard Margaret say that
Yeah.
about John. What you
Yeah.
see is what you get,
Yeah,
so
his wife.
I love that. She knows him the best.
Yeah, he's talked about that a lot. I think that's such a good thing too. And that actually kind of takes us to number 12, which is significance satisfies. And I think when you talk about, John talks about success versus significance and how you should want to strive for significance instead of success. And I think those two kind of go together. But he said when significance satisfied to him is the speed of the vision becomes a reality. And you're depending on financial resources and the people. And he said, you'll never change the world through politics. So just get over it. It'll only happen through teaching values and through people and teaching significance was what I wrote down for that one.
Mm-hmm. Significance is when you give and get more. He says you can be stingy and your world will be small.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can change the world through valuing people and teaching values. Yeah, I think that's kind of what you said. And I put success is what I've accomplished. Significance is all about others.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And he talked a little bit about, for those of our listeners who have not read John's book, Change Your World, he talked a lot about change your world during this part. And so that would be a good one for those of you who haven't read that book to go read if you're looking for more on the significance piece.
Which I'm really excited because we're taking his values stuff, and that's tomorrow's our Mimi and Pop camp.
Oh,
And
that's right.
The first booklet on the values. So
I can't wait to hear about that tomorrow.
I'll report back to that. Yeah.
What's your fun thing that you're doing?
We're going to a main event, and we have a bunch of bowling and all kinds of stuff lined up. Yeah.
That'll be so good. They'll love that. Is this the third or fourth year?
Our third year. Yeah.
Third year. Yeah.
Yep. We're super excited.
So cool. Yep.
And all right. So let's close it out with number 13.
Yep. Number 13, he said at 75 years old, he is certain that his faith is real. And he said, I just wrote down one sentence. Your relationship with God is ridiculously good. The peace is huge and life-changing.
Love it.
Yeah.
You know what? This kind of hits home for a theme for me because I've been reading books. Have you read the book Fearless Living? The guy that spoke at Mega Camp right before Mega Camp.
Gosh, it sounds so familiar. I feel like I've had it.
It's so good. He asked the question, God, what do you want me to know today? And what do you want me to do today? I love it. But why I'm saying this is because when I hear, I listen to the leaders that I respect the most. And when I hear, especially somebody that's got wisdom, like John's got wisdom, what it reminds me of is how much of our life are we going to spend not having the faith to live out all the things that God wants possible for us, right? That's, I've always told the joke about getting to heaven, and there's this big building, and the angel walks you around, and you say, well, what's in that building? And he says, well, you really don't want to know. And come to find out, it's all the blessings that you didn't step into.
Yeah.
That's kind of a mantra I always live by. But when John said this, I thought about several things I've read lately about just believing, I don't know how to say this, but like a lot of times in faith, we get caught up in the how terrible we are kind of thing, I think I've had preachers both ways.
Yeah.
And when I get around wise, godly people, I don't see that. I see people who believe that God has a plan for each of them. And the closer we get to that plan, the more spiritual we become.
Yeah.
And the more we live on faith of, I'm on the right track. And it's so funny because I love it. I always say, I love it when God gives me confirmation. Like someone will write me a note and say, thank you for your leadership. I'm so thankful that God put me in your life. I get confirmations, and I always like it when I get a little bit of confirmation.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of feel like when I get around older, wiser, godly or people, I feel like they are believing that a whole lot sooner, or they believe that and they live it, and you can see it show up in their
Yep.
significance and their success and everything else. And so I've
Yeah.
kind of been reading books lately that I search and find that in,
Yeah.
because I kind of just don't believe that. I mean, I feel like he already died for all that. So why do we have to keep wallowing in that? Now let's be free and go do what he's called us here to do. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I've got to send you my notes from Pastor Daniel Floyd, who's our friend from Virginia, who he and his wife Tammy, they were at Exchange. You met them.
Yeah.
They're the ones I want to connect you with on wealth building that you talked to the night at the ship thing or whatever we were on, with the bad carrots. But he anyway, he spoke, at the summit, and he talked a lot about what you just were talking about. He gave so many great, oh my gosh, my notes. I have so many notes, but I've been aiming to send you these. So now that's confirmation that I need to type them up and send them to you. But yeah, they were great.
Well, I think that's a great wrap. We got all 13 in. And
Awesome.
so you can look forward to John's new book coming out. Be sure and grab your copy, because I'm sure Dana and I didn't get near what all John's going to put in the book. And remember, if you have not hit subscribe, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And the greatest compliment you can give us is a 5-star review. Remember, our goal is 500. And then also, if you have a guest, a topic, or a subject you'd like for us to talk about on the podcast, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. Dana, I guess I'll see you after Thanksgiving.
That's right. Have a great one.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this episode. If you did, make sure that you come back on Thursday for part 2. And don't forget to stay up to date with everything that we're reading and talking about on our Instagrams at Gary Indeed Reads and at the girl with the book on the couch. Links are also in the show notes, so make sure you follow.